my first experience with that. I'm Deborah Williams. I'm the Federal Programs Coordinator. I work for Brenda Hammond.
All right, so you all asked for this to be on the agenda for approval. Tell us what you all are requesting for approval.
Every year at this time, we have to submit our federal programs budget to the Tennessee Department of Education. It's a routine approval for flow-through funds, and we have to identify our Title I schools, our plans, and how we're going to spend that money. And so that's the plan that's due May 2nd.
I didn't see anything, though, attached to my agenda under that item, so I'm a little bit, I guess I don't know exactly what I'm approving. Is this just a formality?
It is pretty much just a formality. Every system in the state of Tennessee has to send in an application for federal funds for Title I-A. Those would be our Title I schools. Next year, we're proposing to have Brown, Cox, hope I can name them all, Highland Park Elementary, Howe, Mount Pleasant Elementary, Mount Pleasant Middle School, Riverside, Whitthorne, I may have met Cox. Did I say Cox?
All right, so in essence, we're approving our other budget.
We are.
Federal.
This is the other, not including our IDEA, that's with Ms. Ventura, but we're the other side of that. We're Title I-A, we're Title II-A, and we're Title III. And Title II-A is more professional development and money that goes to our schools and to teachers and administrators for professional development and those kind of things. Title III is specifically for our ELL student population.
All right. Mr. Morrison.
I'd like to move to approve the federal projects application for 2016-2017.
Okay. Have a motion. Is there a second?
Second. All
right. Second by Mr. Beaver. Any discussion on the motion? All right, I do want to get in some discussion on the federal budget. I guess in the future, I would like to see the numbers and see what those specific programs. I know the federal government puts a lot of.
Oh, I'm sure you can still see it. It's just an opportunity to develop this project to send it into the state. Right. It's not approved until you all sign off on the dotted line.
Okay. And one of the things I would like, we did go through a process with our general purpose budget where the director was focusing the funding on the 7 keys. And I'd like for us to possibly in the future take a look at our federal funding and see what we can do to coordinate that in the same respect and see whether I think there's some ways of being creative, and maybe the state actually will approve us of like braiding or blending of funds on some of our programs from a district initiative. Mr. Director.
Yes, just to let you guys know, during the budget process, we did sit down and we did approve the federal budget, and Dr. Hammond has already, and her team have already worked through making sure that the schools, if they're applying for federal funding or what they're using, is directly applicable to each of the 7 keys based on where they are. So they embarked on that process before we even asked them to do it. So it just made sense because it's the same kids whether we're funding them GP or with title money. So it was they went ahead and did that already.
Mr. Dudley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to say I too agree with you. I'm sort of tired of voting on stuff without seeing any documentation of any type where I don't have a clue what I'm voting for. And then, so in the future, I'd like to see something presented about this is what this does, and these are our proposed Title I schools, and just more information than a blank sheet of paper.
We'll be sure to do that if that's okay with you, Dr. Marzak.
Yes, that's fine with me. But Mr. I don't think there anything is to attach. All they're asking is approval to apply for the consolidated federal projects. They are in the process of developing those, and they're not ready yet. So they need your approval just to start. That's what this is, and then they'll come back later and actually have that paperwork for you guys.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Director.
You're welcome.
Any other discussion on the motion? Seeing none, ready to vote. Motion passes 9-0. On the next item, Ms. Miller, we have approval of a special course. What can you tell us about why this course is so special?
Special course is, actually. Each year at this time, any courses that we are teaching or are interested in teaching that the state does not have an approved course code for, we can go through the application process to submit for the state to approve those courses. The formality is that you all have to sign off on that before it can go to the state, with the understanding that the state can still tell us that those courses will not be approved for us to teach in the upcoming school year. So we have 4 or 5 applications here. The first one is the reading course at Mount Pleasant High School. This is a renewal. This course has been approved for the last 2 years, so assuming it is approved again this year, then we would no longer have to bring this course to the board for approval. They could begin to teach it. We wouldn't have to submit the special course approval. College and Career Financial Literacy. This is a course that Mount Pleasant High School is proposing to teach to their seniors as an elective course to help them in reaching key number 6, financial literacy. And it will combine careers with financial planning and making good decisions about what your salaries are going to be and how you're going to spend your money over time. And then we have ACT prep courses, ACT reading and English, and ACT math and science that we're also submitting. In the past, the state has had a course code that we could use to teach ACT prep, and this year we were very surprised when that course code was not there. We did receive word earlier this week that the state is piloting an ACT prep course. I immediately emailed the state and said we want in on the pilot. So we are waiting to hear back on that. If we are approved for the pilot, that would make these 2 special course requests null and void. We would not need to submit those.
All right, so your request is for us to move forward with the applications?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So with that understanding, is there a motion to approve? Yes. Motion by Mr. Moore, second by Mr. Pennies. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, ready to vote. All right, that motion passes 10-0. Next item, Director Evaluation. I'll turn that over to the Director.
Yes, if you go back to the meeting that we had earlier in the year, you guys approved my Director's evaluation, so it's time for us to engage in that. So I have sent you email copies. I can always send them back to you again, or you can use the attachment if you've printed it out like Chairman Bates has. You can go ahead and score if you want to, or I can send you the pre-populated ones that has all 5s. But in May at the May board meeting, what I'll be doing is a presentation on each section of the evaluation to kind of justify the work that I've been doing since I got here to help you make your scores. And then in June, we'll actually have the scoring of the evaluations where you make those determinations. So that's pretty much it for that.
All right. Any discussion on that? All right. Seeing none, we're ready to move on to finance. Dr. Perkins, first, you have submitted to us your monthly revenue and expenditures, and what I'm going to do is, well, is Dr. Perkins here? Okay. So let me just open the floor to see if anybody has any questions or any items they wish to discuss from your monthly financial reports. Mr. Dudley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 4417.
Yes, sir.
It says we're transferring some monies around. Looks like we're taking out of travel, 2 different sets of travel, but it's going over into other contracted services. Can you tell us what those other contracted services are?
Mr. Dudley, we may be getting a little bit ahead. I think we were just on the monthly reports right now.
Okay. I thought you was ready for the...
But let me just see, does anybody have any questions or discussion regarding the monthly reports? Mr. Lindsay.
I know this is ground that has already been plowed, but from talks, I'm not alone, so I'm going to ask this. I still cannot wrap my head around fund balance. So on your monthly report, all I'm worried about is unassigned fund balance.
Okay.
And So correct me if I'm wrong, unassigned fund balance is monies that with the permission of the county commission, this body can spend.
Correct.
Okay. So in your report, as of March 31st, that unassigned fund balance, 12.1 million.
Correct.
If we do the 3%, I'm going to use round numbers. If we do the 3% test, we have to keep somewhere in the neighborhood of 2.5 million.
Correct.
So that would leave us 9.5 million available to spend today.
Yes, sir. But if you spend it today, you may not be able to pay salaries in May and June.
So it's not unassigned.
It is, right now it's unassigned, but yeah, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. We have $9.5 million right now that's in our unassigned fund balance. I guess we have to be a little conservative in that we have to see what type of sales taxes we get next month. We're in those months where we're not going to get as much revenue as we do during tax collection months. So we have to be a little conservative and make sure, just in case, if we do not collect enough in sales tax to cover our expenses that we have, it's still in our fund balance. It kind of goes up and down. If you
It ebbs and flows, if
Yes.
you will.
I
Yes.
understand, but we budgeted for X amount of sales tax.
Yes,
Okay, so we have that number. Anything we collect beyond that number, we can't spend in this fiscal year anyways, correct?
correct,
So it's going to roll over to next year.
correct.
So I guess my point being, I was really excited for about 48 hours. And then I got my bubble busted because I was thinking that you found $4 million under a rock, but that didn't happen.
No, sir.
Okay, so point being that our fund balance number, our unassigned fund balance number is still today, and I know that we've earmarked some, this board's earmarked some moving forward for next year's budget, so forget that. But today, still in the $7 million range.
Yes,
Thanks.
you're welcome.
Just for clarification, we did pass some amendments that will be going before the commission, and so once those amendments are approved, and we ask for current funding, those available fund balances will go down.
Yes, they
Okay.
will.
And I guess maybe to help us all understand, you've got budgeted fund balance, and then it gets confusing. It's
It
like
does.
actual
It does.
revenue and budgeted revenue.
Correct,
Even though actual revenue may be up here, the county tells us what we can actually spend budgeted revenue.
correct,
And it's not until those books close on June 30th that then we can actually, that money moves into being available to actually spend
correct.
after
But
June 30th.
again, you have to have approval again, just like you would for
Correct.
any other time.
Correct. Okay.
The last
Mr.
point,
Lindsey.
my point just being that all of it, it may keep confusion down in the future. It's irrelevant to me, the money that's sitting there that you're gonna have to use for salaries, because I can't spend that money.
Correct,
So all I worry about is what I can get my hands on. So it may be, it may keep some confusion down in the future if we have I don't know if unassigned fund balance, because I'm not an accountant, but if we could have a report on just those monies that we could actually spend
okay,
if we needed to dip into them.
okay, that's fair.
Thanks.
We could put it in restricted, but we can restrict some of those monies, but it's almost not something that you typically do, but I'll figure out a way to separate it out so you can see this is what we actually will have to spend.
Thanks.
And that would, I think, help all of us going
think so,
forward,
too.
because it does get confusing. And at the end of the day, we're lay people, and so we like to just kind of get to the bottom line. We may not understand how it all works, but what right now what is available that we can actually utilize if we get the county approval. So I think that would be helpful. Any other discussions on the financial reports. All right, with that, now we're ready to go to the budget amendments. So what I'm going to do is, let me just, since we have several budget amendments, let me just take those up one at a time and see if we have any questions. First one's 4417. Mr. Dudley.
Okay, like I was saying, we're transferring quite a bit of money around, but it just, what are other contracted services?
Do you remember? No, it's 71,100. If I remember correctly, we're, right now on this time of year, we're kind of cleaning up. We're taking monies to put into accounts that went a little over budget, and we're moving monies into accounts that, you know, we had some from. And I believe some of our other contracted services went over, but I cannot at this moment tell you what they were, what exact services they were.
I mean, I understand what you're trying to do, but I'm trying to understand what the money is going to be spent on. And it just says other contracted services and other charges. It doesn't give any clue as to what we're spending $18,000 on.
I'm trying to remember if you, I can't remember where you moved it.
Mr. Dudley, we have some, as you know, when we assumed the $700,000 for Discovery Education, the cost of it this year was somewhere, remember I told you, it depended on how many days they were able to contract with us and what they would be able to do this summer. That $18,000 is covering that cost for those consultants that are going to come in May and in June. So that's where we're moving that money to cover those costs.
Okay. So the consultants are consulting on what?
From Discovery Education, they'll be conducting, as you know, I think Ms. Skaggs has already sent you out an invitation for the leadership retreat on May 9th. They'll also be doing a principal leadership retreat in June.
Okay.
All right, so we'll just keep going. Budget amendment 4418. Mr. Dudley, your light's still on, or do you have a question? Okay. All right, next one, 4419. Mr. Dudley.
Yes, sir. Transferring a lot of money, and we're going to spend a lot of money on instructional supplies and materials, and then other supplies and materials. Are those items, I'm sure they won't be used for this year, or is this make up for shortages where we've already overspent?
Lisa?
No, this is 4419.
4419.
I have it right here, Lisa.
If you're just talking about the instructional supplies and materials and other supplies and materials, that is correct. That will be for next year. We're buying reading kits, math kits, intervention materials for students with disabilities. But if you're talking about contracts with private agencies and other contracted services, those will be expended this fiscal year.
Okay, so any monies, you're saying some of these are just for next year. Did our budget presentation show what did we do there? Are we still budgeting for these same supplies next year?
No, sir. I knew this amendment was created weeks ago, and I did not put things in my wish list or in fiscal year 17's budget, knowing that I would have these monies to spend on this instructional material.
Well, I mean, I just want to make sure that we're trying to be transparent with our whole budget process.
That's correct, and we do not want to duplicate.
I want to be sure that we're not appearing that we're padding budgets, so that at the end of the year, we're going to have a leftover amount of funds. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions on a budget amendment 4419? So help me understand a little bit myself. You all are taking things out of some sub-accounts and you're moving $35,000 into the line item under other salary and wages. What would that $35,000 be for?
Sorry, I walked away. I have worked for 6 different finance people, and our extended school year, our summer program, they put it in all different places. Dr. Perkins would like it in other. So that $35,000 is paying for teachers and educational assistants for the month of June for students with disabilities.
So it's basically it's the same spending, it's just being moved into a different category.
Exactly. The previous budget director wanted it in salaries. It was in the 116 line item. That's why the 116 line item looks padded, unfortunately, but we always budget around $50,000 for extended school year. Because we're this close and I know exactly the students that we're going to serve, I know exactly what I'm going to need.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion on that amendment? Next one's 4420. Next one's 4421. 4422. 4423. 4424. Then 4425, Dr. Perkins, that's the where we were going to amend the fund balance. You recall we've already passed that at our special call meeting, so we don't
Yes.
need to be voting on that again.
No.
So we can remove 4425. All right, 4426, any discussion? And we also have 4427 and 4428. All right, with that, is there a motion to approve the amendments BA 4417 through BA?
Do you have a 29?
4429. Excuse me. So there's a 29. Okay. With the exclusion of BA 4425, which we've already approved our special call. Is there a motion? Motion by Ms. Parker. Second by Mr. Pennings. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. All right, ready for Mr. Breeden. Mr. Breeden, we have some low bids. Just going to go through these bids and see if any members have any questions. Bid number 16069 regarding the STEM summer program. Next item, we have bid number 16073, renewal of Smart Find Express. Next one, bid number 16007. Excuse me, Mr. Dudley.
Can somebody tell me what that Smart Express software program does?
That's the software that we use for our substitutes, where we schedule our substitutes. If you remember, we put that in a few years ago when we got into having to make sure that we track their hours, when we got into the Affordable Care Act, and we're going to have to provide insurance. So it allows us to track the hours for our substitutes, and it's the system we use to do that with.
All right, any questions on bid number 16074? $25,000 to the Speech, Language, and Learning Center. All right, any questions on bid number 16075, contracted services under special education, an amount of $16,675? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve bid number 16069, bid number 16073, bid number 16074, and bid number 16075 as described in our board agenda and packet? Motion by Mr. Dudley. Second by Mr. Moore. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. All right, that motion passes 10-0. We're now ready to move on to the other items, Directors of Schools report. You see all the items under Section D of our agenda on page 6. Anybody have any discussion on those items? We also have the FYI items under Section G. Any discussion? And then now, I think we're ready to move on to final announcements. I just want to thank the two individuals from Mount Pleasant High School that helped lead us with our pledge. We also want to thank them for the artwork. And so with that, I'll turn it over to the director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Want to remind everybody that Monday, May the 2nd is a policy committee meeting here at Horace O. Porter at 6 p.m., followed by a community relations committee meeting. Thursday, May 5th is a county admin meeting at 4:30. Thursday, May 10th is a county budget meeting at 4:30. Thursday, May 12th is Zoning and Facilities Committee meeting in Horace O. Porter here at 6 o'clock. Saturday, May the 14th is the Northfield Academy graduation at 10 a.m. Monday, May the 16th is the County Commission meeting at 6:30. Thursday, May 19th, Hampshire Unit School graduation at 6 o'clock p.m. Thursday, May 19th, Mount Pleasant High School graduation at 7. Friday, May 20th is an administrative day. Also want to remind everybody that Tuesday, May 17th is now the last day of school. Friday, May the 20th, Central High School and Spring Hill High School graduation at 7 p.m. Monday, May 23rd is another admin day. And then that will be it for 10 and 11-month employees. Monday, May 23rd, Santa Fe Unit School graduation at 6. Also, Culleoka Unit School graduation at 7. Thursday, May 26th, we have a regular board meeting here at Horace O. Porter at 6 p.m. And then Monday, May 30th, Central Office is closed for Memorial Day. As well, like the chairman, I want to thank Mount Pleasant High School for participating in the meeting.
All right, with that, I'm going to open the floor to any members that have any additional announcements or input that they want to give. Mr. Dudley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can we get it put on the policy? I'm not expecting to be on Mondays because it's too soon, but the issues that were brought up tonight about students' refusal to take tests and then the substitute teachers, truancy and their bullying, I think those were some of the items that was brought up this evening, and I'd like to see us start discussing them.
Thank you, Mr. Dudley. And as we discussed, I have already asked that for our June policy meeting that we do get into do a review of our disciplinary policies, including bullying, and I think that would be an appropriate time to bring up our disciplinary policy regarding students that refuse to take the test. And so certainly I think that would be another item for discussion, so that is warranted. Any other members? Yes, Mr. Beaver.
Yeah, this evening I passed out club cards for the colloquial performing arts. We'll be putting on play Still Magnolia, the May the 12th, 13th, and 14th. And if you attend, bring us a little card and get into it. And one of the things that our teacher center is the one that developed this for us. So I'd like to invite everybody to come local. One of those 3 nights, see a good place.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Beaver, and also thanks to the Teacher Center as well. We appreciate you all. Mr. Director?
Do we have a zoning facilities meeting on the 12th? We do. Can we skip it and show our appreciation for Still Magnolias?
Y'all can take that up with Mr. Moore later. So any other input from any other members? With that, is there a motion to adjourn? Motion by Mr. Penning, second by Mr. Beaver. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We stand adjourned.